Hey, what's up everybody? Retro Gaming Guy here. So today in this video, we're going to unbox, demo, and review the UXX X20 mini PC that I found on Amazon. Now, this is an $89.99 mini PC here. It's intended for business and home use. It's not intended for gaming use, but combing through the specs here, I think that it probably would be adequate for the more retro game collections out there. So I'm talking about Master System, Genesis, NES, Super Nintendo, stuff like that. I'm not sure if it would even handle Dreamcast or N64, but we've got to find out, because if we could get those up and running on here, $89.99 for something like this would be a phenomenal price point, much cheaper than that of a Raspberry Pi 4, and much less legwork because everything's included in here. You don't have to install a single board PC into an enclosure with a cooling fan. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't have to buy accessories. You literally just need to use what is offered here. We've got a Celeron CPU in here, speeds of up to 2.4 gigahertz and 6 gigabytes of RAM. So not overly impressive by any means. It's not going to handle Wii. It's not going to handle GameCube. It's not going to handle PS2. We know that right off of the bat. So we're just looking for this to work with the old school stuff. So let's unbox this. Let's take a look at the layout and design. We'll dive into some games and we'll see if any of this is even possible. Let's dive into it. All right, guys, let's start opening this up. Very low profile mini PC right here. Looks pretty sharp. I mean, the label on here is literally just, as it's stuck on, you know, I thought that was a sticker. Take a look at that. I thought it was a sticker. It's actually just a little protective piece that goes over the top, just a little plastic label protector, I suppose. So I thought that was just a sticker. I was going to say right off the bat, that looks pretty horrendous. It actually looks pretty good. Low profile, pretty sharp and durable sort of setup here. It is plastic. It looks actually metallic, but it is plastic on here. So right here in the front, two USB 3 ports. We have our micro SD card slot right here located in the front. Love that for being able to incorporate, you know, Batocera builds, RetroPie, whatever you want to do in terms of gaming, you could do via micro SD card. Now, that's not typically what I prefer, just because micro SD cards are super temperamental. You can easily corrupt those, much easier than an SSD or a hard drive. So take that into consideration, but it certainly is very convenient to be able to use that since it's right here on the front panel. We have our power button right over here, ventilation on the top. Now let's go over here to the side, more airflow ventilation. Backside has our VGA port on the back, so this is not something that most people in this day and age get too jazzed up about, but if you want to use this inside of an old school cabinet, you want to use this with an old school computer monitor, VGA is going to be a great option for you. Obviously, that's not going to bring your audio through. You're going to have to use HDMI for that, or a audio jack like this. And we have both of those on the side. So you can see this is the front, this is the other side now. So our power supply cable is going to attach right here. We have another USB 3 port right here, HDMI port, and our Ethernet port, followed by, once again, our audio jack. So we have everything that we need on here. And I do like the fact that we have 3 USB ports. I personally, because I'm constantly adding more games and I'm always using flash drives, a mouse, a keyboard, and a controller, I probably would put a splitter on here to give myself a few additional USB ports, but still great USB-A options on here. There's no USB-Cs, but definitely a nicely put together and streamlined sort of setup. Very lightweight, very compact, very low profile. I'm digging it. So let's take a look at what else is included in here. So we do have a whole compartment of extra things, and take a look at that. They actually give us a mounting bracket for the backside, which is awesome. We have a regular HDMI cable. It is a little shorter, but still very convenient that they're including that. I've actually noticed that a lot of mini PCs these days are not including HDMI cables, which, you know, I'm sure is just a way of saving a few bucks, but still very nice that they are making it easy by providing us with everything that we would need. Now, right here we have our power supply cable, very easily accessible there. Low profile as well, which I definitely like. Not one of those oversized massive ones. And we have a wireless mouse right here, this is actually the first time I've ever seen a wireless mouse or any mouse actually included with a mini PC. And it does seem to be a nice, you know, high quality mouse here. It's an E318 wireless mouse here. And if we open this up, you can see it's going to run on a single AA battery, and we have our wireless dongle right here. So we'll plug that into one of the USB ports and we can get this up and running. Little on and off switch there to save the battery life. So definitely seems to be a nice added bonus there. And of course, we do have our user manual down here at the bottom. So this comes in multiple languages. And let's just take a look inside to see how everything's put together here. Let's find the English section. There we go. So it does walk through all the ports, which we just went through. It walks through the setup instructions here, but that's about it. I mean, it's pretty basic. Gives you some introductory information, gives you a few warnings, our typical, guide stuff there. But let's dive into this. I'm going to set it up. We're going to plug it in, and let's try to launch Batocera on here and see if we can actually test out a bunch of games and game collections so we see where the performance lies here and we know exactly what this is actually capable of with gaming, because that's not its intended use. So let's give it a go and see where we end up.
Round 2, fight! Love 15. Love 30. Robinson to augment. It comes. Jackson. Robinson. He's heating up.
Checkpoint! Checkpoint!
All right, guys, so we jumped in here. We tested out this $89.99 mini PC quite extensively, and the results here were actually a little bit confusing in all honesty. So I figured looking at the specs, we'd be able to get into NES and Super Nintendo, which we were. No confusion there. Everything was a good experience. I figured Genesis and Master System would also be a good experience, and it was for the most part. I won't say that it blew me away. It didn't knock my socks off or anything, like that. I felt like the audio was a little bit off at times. It wasn't that it was like timing wise off. It just felt like it was a little bit like garbled. It felt a little distorted, which is usually an indication. And Sonic is a tough one for those collections. Not that it should be, real strenuous on your mini PC, but for those collections, that is one that I do experience the most issues with audio. So definitely felt just a little distorted, I guess would be the word. Which again usually is an indication that you're starting to kind of maximize what you can handle with your, in this case, mini PC. So yeah, it wasn't a phenomenal experience for Genesis and Master System, but still very much playable. I figured we would try out MAME. We did, no issues there whatsoever, and I tested out a wider range of games than what I showed you guys in this demo reel today. So everything that I threw at it handled perfectly for MAME, which reassures me that this mini PC, that is obviously very budget friendly, would be a good option for somebody that's strictly looking for arcade games on like an arcade one-up mod. This would definitely be able to handle that with ease. It provides enough ports to accommodate that sort of setup as well. So I think it would be a great option there. And then obviously you could throw in NES into the mix, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Master System, and that's cool. So now considering the fact that Genesis and Master System, mostly Genesis, was, had some signs of shortcomings with Sonic the Hedgehog, I figured Sega Saturn's going to be out of the question, and it totally is. The games do launch, but they're a laggy disaster, so not at all playable in my opinion. Though I will say it gets you further than you would on Raspberry Pi 4, which in my experience with Raspberry Pi 4 trying to emulate Saturn, you would barely get through a boot screen, if even that. So definitely gets you further along, but obviously not into a playable experience. So I threw PlayStation at it. PlayStation is decent, kind of similar to that of like the Genesis, where I feel like it lags ever so slightly. It's not unplayable, but it's not that smooth, crisp performance that we really want. Same thing with Dreamcast. Dreamcast is okay. It's not great, but same sort of deal. You definitely feel like it's a little bit sluggish. Like I was playing Virtua Tennis, and it wasn't that seamless experience that it typically is on my regular gaming PC or some of the mini PCs that I do have on hand at all times. So this is where it got really strange. We tested out N64, which right off the bat, I figured we're going to be lacking for this. If we're seeing some slight issues with Genesis, PlayStation is obviously not perfect, but playable. Dreamcast, same thing, and then Sega Saturn's a complete mess where we can't play it at all. I figured N64 is going to be playable, but it's just not going to be smooth. And it turned out to be the best experience on here today. I threw at it first Mario Kart 64, jumped into a few other titles in here, which I didn't show you guys, but then I tried to kick it up with WCW NWO Revenge, my favorite wrestling game for N64, if not ever. And that was a great experience as well. Then I said, all right, let me try Cruisin' World, because Cruisin' World, I know for a fact, can be super laggy and delayed. If you're using the emulator with something that just doesn't have the best specs out there, which this mini PC, I said right from the start, does not have the best specs out here. We're looking at this purely from a value standpoint today. And even that game performed extremely well on here. So yeah, I was totally expecting N64 to fall short. It was the best experience here. So you got to just kind of weigh out the pros and cons with this mini PC. Obviously, as I've said multiple times, the main thing that you'd be looking at here is the price point, $89.99 for something that you can just simply bring in a micro SD card or an SSD or a hard drive to externally. it has everything that you need right out of the box. So if it lines up with what you're looking for, this could be a phenomenal option for you to get into a budget-friendly setup. So this mini PC right here is definitely more capable than a lot of those plug-and-play game drives that we see that are just basically in TV boxes and stuff like that. So we definitely have some potential here. I would never recommend this for somebody that's looking to get into flawless, gameplay experiences across the board from everything from Atari all the way up through PS3. This definitely does not have enough for something like that. But for the right collections here, it definitely has some options for you. And if those collections that work extremely well, like N64 did here today, is what you're looking for, this is a great option for $89.99 with everything that you need right out of the box, except for, of course, your games. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this mini PC. Again, it's the UXX X20 mini PC from Amazon. I'll put a link up here at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video, so you guys can click over, get some additional information on this if it lines up with what you're looking for. That's going to do it for today, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content today, please give me a thumbs up on the video. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos right here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.